Hey, and welcome to Blankbodies, a Vampire the Masquerade V5 tips and discussion podcast. I'm Hunter, and I'm here with...
Hi, I'm Sarah.
And I'm John.
And we're joined by our research assistant and old lore nerd,
James.
So, what are we doing here today? Well, we're going to be talking about Vampire the Masquerade, the 5th edition. And these first couple episodes, we're going to be putting together a tutorial for you, whether you're a new player or an old player coming into this new edition, to get you ready to play the game. So today we're starting off simple. What is Vampire the Masquerade? But before we can go too into detail on that, why are we even talking about this game?
I'll say I am a big fan of the newest game system because I like how they've streamlined and simplified everything. I like that it's easy for people that are not used to a more role-play heavy game, or even role-playing at all, can kind of ease into it in a way that you're just like, okay, cool. I just need to worry about a couple of numbers as opposed to loads and loads of tables and all that noise.
Yeah, and I like spooky shit, so...
I mean, we're here for spooky shit.
This lends itself to that.
Yeah, I think the simplified rules really work well for spooky shit, though, because I've, run horror games in D&D, Ravenloft, stuff like that, and it's really fun and it's atmospheric until it gets to the point where it's like, all right, a spooky thing happened, but is your character scared? So if you could take your constitution bonus for me and then roll that on a d20, subtract that number from this challenge score, and then I'll tell you if you're scared or not. Kind of really slows everything down, and it takes all the gas right out of the situation.
Kind of pulls that tension out from under you, yeah. Especially, remember that second ed game that we played? I really tried to make that as spooky as I could, but I felt like every single time I think that, we're talking about, it's spooky. Now you have to fight it. Roll initiative. It's like, once you can start fighting things, they're a lot less scary. Or at least once it's expected that you're going to fight things, it's a lot less scary.
Especially in D&D when there's, specific turn orders that are set to a number and you're taking, speed initiatives. And it really... And this D&D is so slow combat comparatively that...
Yeah.
Whereas Vampire, it's, fast. You have one type of die. It's very quick. You're like, do you do the thing or not?
Plus, I'm a fan of, there's consequences for you being a murder hobo? Oh my god.
Yeah, consequences are cool. That's the first and only time you're ever going to hear me say that.
What? You like consequences?
No.
Speaking of easy, though, I think it's also really easy for a new player to step into the setting because it is set in the modern world. And you can play it as if everything is exactly the same, except, there's vampires and werewolves and mummies and ghouls, and I'm not going to keep going down this list because I don't know them all.
There's a lot.
It's not like D&D. It's like, well, does my character know how to ride a horse? And this, it's like, well, can you drive a car? Well, most people can drive a car, so unless you've decided to not be able to, yeah, just do what you normally do.
Yeah, and there's a whole swath of just pop culture references you can pull from for any character and or setting that you want to do that's kind of in the common parlance where it's, anybody who's seen a Blade movie, you basically can understand a Vampire the Masquerade game.
Yeah, and I think it's also, we can talk about this more in a later episode, but just the amount of pop culture in late 90s through early 2000s especially that almost pulled directly from Vampire the Masquerade is almost scary. Lawsuits close.
Yeah. Oh, Underworld, you made some choices, and they were not great.
Underworld, Blade, True Blood, Twilight.
Buffy.
Oh, Buffy.
I like Buffy. It's fun, but I mean, the team that did Buffy, didn't they work on the Kindred the Embrace show before that?
Yeah, that we'll talk about that hellish TV show at some point. But I think both were made by, what's his name, Aaron Spelling or whatever?
I believe so, yeah.
I could be completely wrong, and everyone will correct me at the email.
Yes, just email us. It was blankbodies@gmail.com. Let us know when we're wrong. We love all of those pedantic messages. It's going to be great.
I can't wait to hear about how Aaron Spelling was the 90210 guy, not the Buffy guy. But
it's fine.
But no, I mean, there is a ton of those little pop culture nuggets that are really just, this guy played in a vampire LARP through college, got his English major degree, and was like, you know what, I'm going to write a TV show about my life.
Yes. This is a completely original OC that we don't have to worry about, liability for. It's fine.
Speaking of which, though, it was announced recently that there is also going to be a new vampire TV show. So that's another, be easy stepping point for new players, You watch this
hold
Netflix
on, really?
show.
I don't think I heard about that.
Yeah.
Really?
Did we talk about this already?
Oh, we have talked about it, yeah, because I was like,
Like
hey.
I was there?
Yes. I talked about
shit.
it. Like,
Okay.
fucking Jason Carl tweeted about it.
Whoops.
In the alternate reality where we filmed this thing correctly the first time, we talked about it on that one, but that was erased because of file errors.
It's
Yeah. I don't
fine.
remember it.
It's fine. This is
Episode
fine.
0 that you can only get by stepping into another dimension and selling a finger for.
It was retconned.
But yeah, it's the guy who produced the Witcher series, I believe.
Oh, sick. Okay.
So,
All right.
I mean, half terrified because Netflix likes to treat their series like garbage after they get a season or two out. But, I mean, Witcher and Castlevania were pretty good. Not much else was that good, though, so.
Yeah. Well, we shall see. There's hope.
Cross them fingers.
So, unlike this podcast, compared to other tabletop games, the tone is more dark and more adult.
Yes. There will be
More
themes
adult.
of violence and social issues and potential substance abuse and sexual encounters and all that noise. So if those are things you don't want in your game, that is fine. You can run that how you want, but those are motifs that happen in the series. So,
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in the books that you might not want to run at your personal table. We'll get more into that later.
Cool. Yeah, and it's also free, so that's pretty cool. Like, not having to pay, money to get Player's Handbook, Dungeon Master's Guide, Monster Manual, things like that. You can get most of the resources just online right now, right?
Well, there is a free starter set, and that comes with a full adventure, pre-written characters, and enough of the rules for you to sit down and play through maybe 3 nights of game.
you can get 3 to 6 nights out of that, just depending on how characters pace everything out. We are planning on doing a more of a in-depth dive onto the starter guides, because there's the freebie and then there's the $8 one that comes with a bunch of goodies that are really nice.
But yeah, so there's the free kit, and then there's the $8 even more starter kit. And then if you want to get into it, there is a single handbook. It's just called Vampire the Masquerade V5, and that's got all the DM information for running a game. It's got character creation info, rules, lore, story, plot hooks. So you get a ton out of that. And then there's other books you can get, and we'll talk about those later if you're interested in specific things about the game. But if one person spends, $60 for the physical, $30 for the PDF?
Yeah, I think if you buy the physical, you get the PDF with it. So it's like if one person buys the book, you can share that amongst the entire table and you're good.
Or, I mean, like, if you're playing with a group of friends, if the 3 of us did, that's $20 a pop, you know? Okay, so we've used RPG multiple times. Let's talk about what the fuck an RPG is. Not a rocket-propelled grenade.
You can get those, though.
I mean,
You probably could get those
We
in
live in the
Canyon.
States.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, not too hard.
Yeah. There's one in this house. It's not loaded, but there's one in this house.
What? What?
seen
the?
it.
What?
Yeah, it's one of those spent shells, like those single shot ones.
Fake. Oh, God.
Yeah, remember you came over here one night and Bennett and I were really hammered, like pointing it at the door?
Oh, God. I have... Look, COVID has fucked my sense of time and reality so goddamn hard. I've completely blanked on 2 of my friends pointing weapons at me as a joke.
Yeah, that was like the last real New Year's.
Yeah. Anyways, so what the fuck is a role-playing game? So, I wrote down a couple of dictionary definitions because I am a nerd. Yes. I own that. It's fine. We know what clans I technically belong in, and it's very upsetting. But yeah, the rough of an RPG is for a role-playing game, it is a game in which the players assume different character roles, usually in a fictional setting, and the game is moderated by some sort of referee or game master.
That definition in Vampire. So in Vampire, there's no game master. They're called the storyteller, i.e. the game is more focused on telling a story as a group.
That is one of the things I do like about the V5 system is when you read through the core book, they make a point of this is a storytelling game, and it's a lot of back and forward with the storyteller and the players on how a scene should go and character progression, as opposed to you are just being told, like, okay, this happens and this happens to you, then this happens to you, and there's not as much player input. It's more of a collaborative effort, and everybody's working on the game together. As opposed to, I am dictating things. I am the dungeon master. Look at me and my weird spooky bullshit.
Yeah. Early D&D was also especially focused on that to the point where they'd have tournaments to see who could get through a specific set of challenges the quickest or the bestest or the least dead.
The least dead.
Whereas I feel like if you proposed... Where I feel like if you propose that to any of the old fans of Vampire, you might get stabbed. Or at least hissed at.
Hissed at, for sure.
They start doing Rochambeau.
They're just going to come at you doing rock, paper, scissors hands.
I am angry and wearing a lot of pleather. I don't approve of this. And it's like, you know what? I get that. That's fair.
So this collaborative storytelling we're talking about, the big difference between it and D&D, from what I've gathered, is D&D or other role-playing games like that are very focused on the DM setting up a world and then figuring out how to guide the players through a storyline. It's more like playing a linear game as opposed to like a sandbox, where this collaborative storytelling seems a little bit more like we're playing in a sandbox. Yes?
Yeah.
Nice.
Nailed it.
Yeah, jinx or something. But yeah, and also a lot of D&D, especially if you buy like the pre-made adventures, which Vampire has too, but in D&D it's a lot of specific maps with set out grids for everything and a specific amount of enemies in every spot. And the challenges all have preset difficulties, and it's more like a choose your own adventure game where this dungeon master in that game, runs the game and the players choose their answers. Whereas in Vampire, and you can do, some DMs do that in D&D, but in Vampire it's a lot more loose from the jump. So there's a lot more room for experimentation or making things up as you go.
More improv or, focusing on character development and interpersonal struggles and personal horror, as opposed to, shit, I went to my penthouse and everything exploded. I mean, that happens sometimes, but like, why did it explode? Who put the bomb in there? Did you do it? Who knows? We'll figure it out.
The monsters are on the inside.
They are on the inside. That's also a fun thing. At least when I've run games for you guys, I've tried to incorporate the little storytelling device that Jason Carl has, where it's like, yeah, you're going to talk to the vampire monster that's in your head. So like when you guys are having an issue, I've leaned in and gone like, hi. So you gonna eat that kid? You gonna do it? You gonna do it? You should do it. You should totally do it. We're really hungry. Do it. Do it. Eat the child. Do it. And then you can interact how you choose.
The property crimes happen because you're in violation of reality's rules, and we're just taking away your property.
Fuck the rules.
Anything else we want to add to this segment?
I think I'd eat a kid.
Yeah? You mean like a survival scenario or just in general?
Or you're just like, no, I want a snack pack.
I mean, survival. Yeah, survival. If I had to.
So I know there's certain amounts of hunger you can sate in the game from eating a human. Does that change when it's a child? Yeah.
What if it's a smaller human? This is for a different episode.
Stairs in Men in Black.
Stop it. It's fine. We're fine. It's fine. I'll answer that later. I wrote notes about that for the next episode, so we'll get into it.
Yeah.
Sweet. We're going to talk about baby
robot,
eating.
and you know how much blood points a child is worth.
Actually, that's much more prescriptive for Old World Dirk as opposed to now, but you know what? We'll get into it later.
Yeah, tune in for episode 2, the amount of blood points in a human child.
All right, so now that we have an establishment for complete newbies about what the heck a role-playing game is, probably should discuss what this game actually is. So, long and short of the situation, Vampire the Masquerade is a gothic punk modern role-play game system where the players take on the roles of various kinds of vampires and their own interpersonal struggles within the group, themselves, with society, and the players interact with the world based on various skills that are innate, like, I went to college, therefore I have an academic background, or I was a mechanic, so I have all these, tech skills. And also you have your vampire powers on top of that as well. So some people are super strong, some people are super fast, some people are super charming. Some people will pull you into the shadow realm. There's a wide swath of options.
Yeah, you can play Yu-Gi-Oh!
Nice. The master of games.
Which is not what anyone playing vampire is called. Never the master of games.
You fool! You've triggered my trap card! Back to the technocracy!
Stop it. He's very excited.
So the overall story in Vampire the Masquerade is that it takes place in the modern day. The world is exactly the one as you know it. However, vampires exist, and they are actively trying to keep their existence hidden from humans. So, plot you've seen in every vampire movie that's came out since 1993.
Yeah.
But yeah, they have their own hierarchical society and roles, and it's like a parallel world that's happening all the time and alongside our world.
So you're telling me that creepy guy behind the Chuck E. Cheese counter could be a vampire?
Yeah.
That is an option, yes.
I've always thought it.
Well, they're open during the day, so probably a ghoul.
Probably just a
Oh,
ghoul.
okay, just a ghoul. Got it.
No. Or thin blood.
Speaking of ghouls and thin bloods, what the heck are those?
Whoa!
Oh my god, I hate you guys. Basically, in Vampire, instead of having character classes, like you would know, like the Bard or Rogue or, all that fun snatch stuff, we do clans instead. So basically, depending on what clan you pick at character creation means that you get certain vampire powers at a cheaper cost. So if you want to be a stealthy boy, you have a couple options. If you want to be a charismatic boy, girl, whomever, you can do whatever gender you want. Do it. Do all the things.
A lot of the different clans line up with different pop cultural idea and historical ideals of what vampires are. So, you can play your Anne Rice vampires. You can play your more modern animalistic vampires. You can play your really old school, really ugly, like Nosferatu vampires. They're actually called the Nosferatu. But there are clans for any kind of vampire, just because two people sit down at the table and one of them wants to play Fright Night and one of them wants to play Interview
Lost
with a
Boys.
Vampire. Yeah, Lost Boys.
Sorry, I got
But,
excited.
yeah, you can do that.
Cool. So we were talking about a hierarchical society here. Let's tap into that some more.
But yeah, so there are 6 tenets of Vampire Society, basically the only 6 laws that really exist. There are other ones that may come up during your story or that kind of thing, but that's something we can get into way later. Really, the main 6 laws that are required when you're a vampire are masquerade, domain, progeny, accounting, hospitality, and destruction. So let's go through those real quick.
You said accounting?
Yeah.
So we were just talking about how we don't do numbers. But
Anywho, so the first rule, the biggest rule, pretty much the game does not function if this first rule is broken, which is masquerade, which is don't let the humans know. No, can't let the humans know. No doing your vampire powers in front of people. No, putting yourself on TikTok or whatever, being like, look what I can do. Yeah, no, don't do that.
Yeah, don't Super 8 yourself.
Yeah.
You can also breach the masquerade if you out someone else as a vampire and it's drawn back to you. Because even though those people aren't being like, oh, you're a vampire, you still revealed the existence of vampires to humans, and if anyone finds out that that's your fault,
you're in trouble.
Yeah, so if you want to take out a rival, you don't just want to go on TV and be like, I have proof that Jeremy's a vampire. And then someone realized that you told the Channel 8 that Jeremy was a vampire. You're also going to end up in the sunlight.
Okay, but what if you did it on, like, Maurice? Because that's not very credible, right?
I don't know what Maurice is. Is that like the new Jerry Springer?
Oh, no, that's like... It was Jerry Springer during... It was just a different Jerry Springer. Never mind.
Yeah, we'd cut the feed and erase that from all of the internet and all the things just immediately. The Maurice might fly because, nobody believe it.
Nice.
Oh my gosh.
I'm pretty sure there's an old episode of Jerry Springer that's helped my teenage daughter as a vampire, and it's just about how she wears like black lipstick.
No, she was actually a vampire.
A vampire?
Fuck you. Don't you read the tabloids?
But yeah, that's the first big thing. Masquerade. Yeah, it's literally the title of the goddamn game.
Yeah, so don't fuck that up. Yeah. The second is domain, which is when someone is granted domain over an area. It means they own it. It's their private hunting ground. It's their territory. It's very feudal idea, but if you feed in the king's hunting grounds kind of thing, you have to get permission from whoever runs that domain before you can feed in that area, or it's seen as a slight against them. That one doesn't come up as much, I've found, but it is important. And it's not like the whole city is cut up into domains most of the time. Usually it's specific areas are like, oh, well, that belongs to that fuck.
That belongs to that fuck.
Yeah.
But yeah, then there's progeny. So, that there's that whole, like, you can turn somebody into a vampire thing. Yeah, if you do that just kind of willy-nilly, you're fucked.
Oh, like Lestat was all pissed off that Louis brought home the little girl.
Yeah,
cool.
Good job.
Hey!
Yeah, but basically you have to have permission from either the person who turned you into a vampire or people higher up in vampire society being like, yes, you can make your own progeny. And that leads us to your favorite law, accounting.
Oh, sweet. Get them numbers in, tickety-tack.
Yeah, so you're not just turning vampires to do your taxes for you.
Oh.
I wish they would call it something else slightly, but that's what they call it. But basically, if you turn someone into a vampire, you're responsible for all their actions until they gain autonomy, which they have to earn.
So they should really just call that accountability.
Yes.
The 6 traditions were written in the 1500s. This has probably gone through a few translations.
Okay.
So,
So what you're telling me is this is the real definition of accounting, and what modern day humans call accounting is a farce?
Yes.
Oh yeah, capitalism isn't real. There's no such thing as money.
Yes, the Syndicate made that, and we're very glad that you guys keep using it.
Stop it.
So the next one is also a modern day career, but it's hospitality. But it is not providing poorly cooked shrimp to business people. It is actually when you go visit a town or city that you're not from, you have to present yourself to that area's leadership and let them know that you're in their domain.
Like present yourself like the guy at the Arby's drive-thru the other day?
Jesus Christ.
I don't want to know. I meant more like, it's kind of like going through vampire customs where you have to be like, hi, I'm passing through.
Okay. Cool.
I don't have nefarious plots. Yeah, good day, my liege.
It's closer to like the medieval tradition of like if you're a trader traveling through a land, you have to present yourself to the king.
Okay, gotcha.
Hello.
But let's be real about this. There's just as many trench coats.
Oh, yeah.
All right, cool. As the guy...
You just need to stop going to Arby's. I think is the moral. Just stop fucking going to Arby's.
Listen, their advertising was not lying. They've got the meats, and that guy showed them to us.
All right, so the last one is the rules of destruction. It is a vampire crime to kill other vampires, a la What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah. Don't do that.
Don't kill vampires.
Yeah, if you are a vampire, don't kill other ones. Only like the prince, the head guy can grant access to vampire murder.
So if I want to murder somebody in Vampire World, I need to go to the prince and be like, hey, yo, prince, I want to kill this dude.
I mean, that's one way to do it. Most people just do it behind each other's backs and just be like, oh no.
Ah, Timothy died.
Ah, fuck.
I don't know how he got tied to the roof.
I guess he fell down some stairs and out the window and into the sun.
Right. Those ropes were just outside, I suppose.
He really, if he's going to be doing kink play, he really should have set an alarm. So he had time to like get out before the sunrise, but oops.
So don't kill vampires, is what I'm learning.
Yeah, don't
or
kill.
do kill vampires, but do it on the sly.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I mentioned that the domain rule doesn't come up very often, but the amount of other vampires that I have fucking bodied over the years playing this game where this rule has never come up is insane. So it's really up to your storyteller, obviously. But as long as you're like even semi-smart, vampires are pretty deadly things. They disappear all the time.
Just, oh knows what. Also, just so many times we're like, oh yeah, we killed Timothy, and then like 3 nights later you're at fucking Elysium just vibing, and there he is, and you're like, what?
Yeah, he just walks by and gives you like a smile while sipping a goblet of blood, and that's a whole new adventure.
So what if you just picked somebody that nobody liked?
Oh, you're most likely to get away with it.
Cool.
I mean, but if people know about it, they can use that against you later, being like, aha, but what if we tell somebody above the prince that you did a vampire crime? So many plots.
Yeah.
Much like the theater macabre in Interview with the Vampire, a lot of this is politics and social maneuvering, and that's a good portion of the game as writ. But we used a couple terms there, so let's peel back for a second. We mentioned the Camarilla. Sometimes derogatorily called the Cam.
Or the Ivory Tower.
They're the elites. They're the guys who run everything.
They were the original organization that started this Vampire the Masquerade. Yes, because they had the whole Convention of Thorns in the 1500s. God damn it, why am I being the lore nerd?
Not only that, but we keep mentioning so much shit that has like another peel-off layer of explanation.
Because you're not letting me interject into this, and it's not really a lore episode. We just keep getting lost in the weeds.
No, it's a lore episode now, baby.
Baby.
But yeah, so the Cam are the people who are in charge, the ones who are watching you, and they're the ones who are most likely, even if you don't think they are, the one to be pulling your strings and giving you jobs.
Down with the bourgeoisie?
Yeah, they're the shitty rich.
All right.
So the Convention of Thorns, 1500s, started this Camarilla group. They've been existing till now. They're in charge of everything. And the term we've used multiple times already, they install a prince into each city that they control. And the prince is basically in charge of everything. He has the final say. He owns that area. So I have a question for some of you who've been playing longer than I, and maybe you know. Why are they called a prince and not a king or a queen?
Oh, because you think the Ivory Tower stops at just the prince?
No, it's just a term I don't really ever hear. So
yeah, because the way the hierarchy is with the Camarilla, because there's people above the princes. It's just a big web of hierarchy ending up with the Council of Seven, who are the main shadowy kind of head folks of the Camarilla that I honestly don't ever run games I get that deep into the hierarchy, so I haven't brought it up at table, really.
And I think, I know I've heard of the Council of Seven, and I know some of the old books, it even mentions that most vampires don't even know they exist. For a lot of people, they think it does kind of end at the prince.
There's also some minor hintings at in the Dark Ages books of Old World lore that it was a hint that, you can be a prince in this kingdom, but no one is going to be above Cain.
So it's kind of a respect to Cain.
Well, when the original Council of Thorns, it was a light note that was added. It was never declared, but it was one of those small sprinkles for storytellers.
And just for a note, because we threw that in there, and Cain is very biblical, but he is considered the original vampire, and though it's not provable in most of the setting in books, depending how you read some stuff, way in the weeds about that one, but Cain is the original vampire that all the different clans descend from at some point, and so that makes sense that if the term prince does kind of relegate, oh, I'm the prince, but, He's around.
So, sliding on the next rung of the ladder on vampire politics, the next big sect is the Anarchs, which formed initially in the 1500s as a, hey, so you uppity dickwads in the hierarchy that are just like yeeting all the baby vampires to do all your grunt work. Fuck that. And that's not been a super viable movement until recently in the lore. Now there's been more of an anarch uprising where they're just like, yeah, fuck this tower thing. We're going to do our own thing with more equality and blackjack and hookers.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to note that a lot of anarchs still believe in the 6 traditions, but they just don't like the way that the Camarilla upholds them. So, I mean, they still don't want humans to know about them for the most part. They still respect each other's domain, they don't just create new vampires willy-nilly, all that. But they're more like, but what if we did it the way Karl Marx wanted us to?
Yes, that's one interpretation. Actually, if you go through the V5 Anarch book, I love that they're just like, yeah, the Anarch movement has loads of different options. So you can do an anarcho-communist commune if you want, or if you want to do like a libertarian stronghold, you can do that too. There's a wide breadth of options within the Anarch movement that you can explore as a party. And I'm just like, oh, that's great. I love that.
Could we play Squidbillies in Vampire the Masquerade?
Yes.
As Anarchs?
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
So the Anarchs are much like the people I hang out with, completely compromising the bottom half of a political chart.
Yeah. Yeah, just the biggest distinction is the Camarilla tends to uphold tradition and hierarchy, and they believe in following the wisdom of their elders and proceeding forward, while the Anarchs are much more into trying newer systems, and they're a little bit more egalitarian, usually.
There are even in, I think, one of the books, more like biker gang Anarchs who are just like, oh, you're a new vampire. We're going to beat the shit out of you until you almost die 3 times. Then you get a bike.
Yeah.
But
I've always wanted a bike. I have a bike.
You have a bike.
Cool.
oh my god, I've written... We once tied a sled to the back of your bike and drove it through a field.
I don't have that bike anymore.
Oh.
Yeah, I sold it and got a different one.
So you still have a bike!
You have multiple bikes.
Cool, I didn't even have to get the shit beat out of me. That's nice.
God damn it. But yeah, in the V5 system, those are generally the 2 big political sects in the vampires you're going to deal with. There is a third option.
Yes. They have not really been officially mentioned yet, but they are officially mentioned as one of the upcoming books, so it would be bad for us to not at least mention. Everyone's real excited to take this one.
All right, buckle up, shit fucks. It's time to talk about the Sabbat, the ones that got it right. Otherwise known as the people that actually were the ones that got thrown to the wolves by that Council of Thorns. Not the ones that thought they had a problem and dissented. The ones that were, the actual victims and went, why would we follow your rules? You literally used us as proxies. We hate you all. Fuck this. Time to make a shovelhead. And then they just fucked off. They are generally... In Old World lore, we have nothing official to go off as of currently, but in Old World lore, they were considered to be the antithesis of the Camarilla, but we don't know where they're going right now. One of the old funny things in the Old World lore was the fact that they were technically right, even though they were monsters. Now they've it seemed they may be changing them, so we can't officially say anything about them. They seem to kind of take a lot of their ideals from Old World and shifted it over to the Anarchs, which is perfectly fine. I mean, it's nice to be the right side, but not be so horny for murder and destruction and sociopath simulator.
I'm glad that we've decided to use my term TM sociopath simulator for Vampire the Masquerade or most World of Darkness games. It's not wrong.
Yeah, speaking of like a sociopath simulator, that's what Sabbat really were in old editions. And I mean, if you read the books and there's people who like them and they'll tell you differently and they might be right. But for the most part, most of the Sabbat across the series are kind of run as the de facto bad guys.
I'm right here, guys!
Come to think of it, I think my mom and dad played a Sabbat game. They fought demons.
Like, you could run Sabbat in many, many different ways. Just the big differential for them is they eschew the Masquerade traditions.
Yeah. They basically think they should rule over humans. They shouldn't have to hide who they are, what they are. They should kind of be in control, in charge.
Yes, they run the gambit from just owning what they are fully and just being murder town, just fucking steamrollers, to just more theological, kind of studious. Just they want to do their own thing, but they're not particularly harmful. But most games that I've run into with Sabbat, as like PC Sabbats myself, it's just been like, oh, this person wants to wantonly describe like assaults and gruesome murder and torture and just kind of be a little problematic in the group and not get into the philosophy as much, which is why I've not been super interested in playing Sabbat games myself until recently, because there is a bit of lore in the V5 system for the Sabbat. So basically, a lot of what they have been working towards is this thing called Gehenna, which is like the end of the world vampire thing where Bible Cain wakes up and goes, "What the fuck have you guys been doing? I'm gonna eat everybody," and it's basically an apocalypse.
But even like the scholars for Gehenna don't even really know what Gehenna, when he says he's going to eat everyone, they don't know if that means he's just going to eat all the vampires, or if that means he's literally going to eat all living things on Earth.
Or if it's just a metaphor, pulling like Sumerian text tablets and just being like, I'm trying to figure out what this means.
We'll get into the Book of Nod episode later.
Yeah, that's a future episode, hopefully. We get to keep doing this and we don't get murdered. It's fine. But at least with the new lore stuff, basically the reason there is not a lot of text for them in the V5 system is the signs for Gehenna started happening, and a load of vampires in the Sabbat got really excited, and they all fucked off to the Middle East to go suppress the uprising of Cain and all of the super old, bad, powerful vampires that live in the sand.
Yeah, that's another little background lore thing that we can get into later. But if you're playing, I think it's important to bring up here, just because if you're an old world player coming back to the system, I think this kind of bit of lore kind of fixes all the things that are different from when you used to play, is what's called the beckoning. Basically, all the elders and more ancient vampires essentially all got pulled out to this holy war in the Middle East. And so a lot of the older vampires from, at least so far we know, like London and the United States.
Everywhere.
Oh, it is
everywhere.
Confirmed everywhere?
Yep.
They all just kind of fucked off. And so a lot of the younger vampires are having to step up and take over. Basically, they're maybe not gone. There are some elder people who resist that and are in hiding. And some have resisted it and are not in hiding. So really, I think that's really important if you're trying to play from the point of view of the old games and you want to keep some of that flavor in, is just say, oh, well, what happened to this guy? Oh, well, he's in the Middle East.
Yeah.
Doing things.
That's stuff.
Vampire war.
Yeah, no longer do you have to just start up a character and spend 20 merit points to be, a 6th gen, because you want to be able to grind the power level.
Yeah, what he said. But if you're a newer player, the nice thing is it's like, oh, you can start as a newbie, like fresh newbie, have no idea what the fuck's going on. And that's fine, because the people above you don't know that much more. So if nobody at the table knows 100% of like the 30 years of lore that have been written for this game system, it's fine. It can be a group discovery process.
Or you could never open those books ever and take the main book and just go off and do your own adventure. And I think that's a really cool way to do it too. We've been playing through the game, and Sarah's our storyteller, and we've been following some of these adventure paths and hooks, but there's nothing stopping us from just like murking a vampire who shows up in one of the stories she wanted to run for us later on, and she'll just have to figure out what to do about that. So lore is a very fluid thing anyway.
I mean, we're not following the tenets right now because aren't we planning on murking a vampire?
Oh, no. That's fine because you got sanctioned by the prince to assassinate one guy specifically in defense of the Masquerade. So
I meant Balthazar.
that one technically, yes, but if you do it and you don't get caught, no one's going to be particularly upset because he's a racist prick.
I remember Prince Jackson was like, I mean, it would suck, I guess, if he died.
Yes, even though I am considered to be the resident lore nerd, I would like to state for the record now, I will state for the record most usually times, anytime I'm speaking of old world lore or current canon lore at this point, much like you should all remember as STs, the lore is up to your interpretation. I can interpret things from old world that may have influences on 5th ed, but that does not mean that it is the concrete canon as to what's happening. We don't know until they officially say anything, and remember, you're the ST, you get to decide.
I really like the rule 2, which is if your character wasn't there for that event, that could just be a rumor. Say there's a character you love who from the old lore who in the new books say he got offed, not around anymore. Maybe just got real hurt and went into hiding for a while. And it's just rumored that he was dead. You can do all kinds of stuff like that. So... And the Second Inquisition is a group that's comprised of the U.S. government, the Catholic Church, and it's all humans. And they're basically humans that found out that vampires exist, and they don't want them around anymore. So they're government church vampire hunters.
Second Inquisition's a little amalgamous, at least with the way things have been presented for V5. So if you want to run X-Files, Spec Ops, like MI5... things, that's totally an option if you want to run stuff where it's the Society of St. Leopold and spooky religion stuff. You can do that. You can have a cell of hunters that are evangelical nutbags. You can have
like
college
the dude
students
from Helsing.
Yeah, you could do that. You can have
Nice.
college students that are just like, my roommate got hit by a vampire. Or my vampire boyfriend broke up with me, so fuck it. I got all my friends together and we're going to murder him. You can do that.
You could just have a bunch of guys that kick ass for the Lord.
Yeah.
Air quotes, humans.
But yeah, that's really what the Second Inquisition is. It's just a major reawakening of knowledge in humans about vampires, and those humans being like, I don't like it. It needs to die.
We're going to organize and get guns and a budget.
And blackjack? And hookers?
I would assume if they're military contractors, there's probably going to be some blackjack and hookers.
Oh.
Or if the church is involved.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
But yes, that's one of the big impetuses of maintaining the Masquerade and the new system that I really like is they put a big focus on tech. Of like, hey, so don't get tracked by the Second Inquisition. You know, that might have branches in the NSA. By the way, everybody has a cell phone. Good luck.
Or maybe something called the New World Order. Just
Stop being horny for your bosses.
I'm not wrong.
You're getting just a little ahead of yourself.
Fuck no.
Last ones are pretty quick here. We got the kindred. That is just what vampires call each other. They generally don't call each other vampires or vamps or anything like that. They call each other kindred.
Well, that's generally more of a camarilla term for each other, so they're a little bit more proper, informal, and all that jazz. Anarchs canonically are more referred to each other as licks and a various multitude of other nicknames.
Licks.
Yeah. Because when you bite somebody, you can lick and close the wound.
Yeah, that's a cool ability all vampires have. When you feed on someone, you can hide the teeth bites.
By giving them a little
slurp. Yeah.
I like that.
And then if you're if you're horny, I guess it is hot. But if you're in the Second Inquisition, they have a term for vampires based on the fact that they do not show up on heat signatures or any kind of medical testing. And the term is blankbodies.
Oh.
Hey, now.
Hey, roll credits.
Oh.
Yeah. But another term that we mentioned a couple times I think is important to bring up are thin bloods. In the lore, they're basically vampires that are sired, turned by a member of a vampire clan, but then that vampire that they create isn't a member of that clan. You know, they don't have those abilities. They kind of do their own thing. They're not as strong generally as regular vampires, at least supernaturally. And it's kind of a thing that was very rare in the old world of darkness, so like the late 90s. And it's becoming more common in the modern nights. And a lot of the old people used to think that was a sign of Gehenna. And now no one's really sure what it is, but there's a fuck lot of them. Most people don't like them or give them respect unless...
Well, that can run the gambit of, anarchs that consider Thin Bloods to be of the blood vampires, and then they should be integrated into society normally, to really almost fanatically religious, the few olds that are floating around, they're just like, it's a sign of the end times, we need to cull them. You can run that entire gambit.
And the Camarilla is basically just like, oh, they're not useful.
All right, it's not even so much they're not useful, it's just they're not really vampires, so they don't get the same rights.
Yeah, they don't have as many abilities, but they don't have as many drawbacks. They can spend a little bit of time in the sun.
It's a mixed bag depending on how you do your build. They give a lot of options for that in the core book. But at least lore-wise, it's, you can run the gambit of, either they're a group of lost souls that don't know what they're doing and they just need to be informed and educated, to just, they need to be exterminated with prejudice.
So unlike in real life, you're not just prone to being cold. Thin-bloodedness has a lot more effects on what you can and can't do.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, they have their own
I just got
sets.
that. I just got that. That was
damn
good.
it.
That was good, buddy.
God damn it. It's fine, you're funny. But yeah, I think that's a good little rough pass of the basics. So that way, as we go on to the next couple of episodes, when we go into how the dice work and how the modules are going to work, when we say things, hopefully.
Yeah, and we'll have lore episodes later on. And if there's specific things we mentioned that you're interested in, you can always email us at blankbodies@gmail.com. We'll have that down in the show notes. But, let us know what you want to know about.
Yeah, because I think, we have plans for doing deep dives on like the specific clans and their histories and how they work, and fun things you can do with them if you want, depending on if you want to go super tropey or be like, nah, we got some weird shit if you really just want to go fucking ham.
Yeah, so we'll probably do factions and old world history lore, and you want to hear about it, let us know. So we've all been playing for a pretty long time. I thought it'd be interesting to go around the table and talk about, how we all actually got into Vampire the Masquerade. Well, you start, Skipper.
So actually I started playing role-playing games relatively-ish young. I started being around them as early as I can remember. Some of my earliest memories were sitting under the dining room table while my mom and dad and their friends played second ed D&D above me, and they had like little cardboard miniatures, and I was playing those out. Well, then they started playing Vampire, and I wasn't allowed in the room for that. A little bit more adult, but they all had the books, and I remember looking through these books and seeing some really cool art and seeing just like a very different setting than what I was used to when I was looking at all those D&D campaign books. And I was like, this is cool. And then I started reading them, and then I started kind of nerding out about them. And then my grandma was concerned that I was being obsessed with vampires and monsters because I grew up in conservative northern Indiana. But yeah, I didn't get to play until actually I started hanging out with you guys. I was just obsessed with the, spooky, if I'm being real.
Spooky.
Spooky. No, I mean... That's kind of similar to my experience. I used to go to used bookstores all the time. I'd go buy CDs and comic books, that kind of thing. So I'd go and, always on the lookout for weird punk and industrial CDs. And I would then, nerd out in the comic book section. And there's always these couple of shelves next to the comic books with like the D&D books and that kind of thing. And sometimes I'd glance over. I was never a huge fantasy guy. I love like The Hobbit, but that's the most I really got into fantasy at a younger age. And then one day a book caught my eye and I was like, well, holy shit, this looks like the like Ministry and Depeche Mode albums I'm buying, but it's a whole book. And I bought it. I don't even know if I really knew it was a game at first, but I was like, this is $3. Which, by the way, can we talk about how much I miss being able to buy these fucking books for $3? But yeah, so I started buying them, looking through them, and I think it was like you said, when we started hanging out and we had started talking about D&D, we'd met at like a concert, and we were like, I've always wanted to play, and you're like, oh, I love D&D, so you and I started hanging out. And then you had some of the vampire books, and you were like, yeah, it's a game. We got to play sometime. And then I think it took us a couple years from there, but eventually we did.
Yeah.
I did play a couple games before that in college on Reddit, and I'm not proud of them. No, it's fine.
I'm sorry, Hunter.
It's fine. If you were somehow in my college Vampire the Requiem online Reddit game, I have no hard feelings. School just got in the way.
That hurt my programming, those words. Let us not talk about Chronicle. 'Twas a silly time.
Oh, no.
That reality doesn't exist anymore, thank the maker.
No, that's still around. It's doing stuff.
Fuck it is.
I'm not really paying attention, but it's doing stuff.
Yeah. I get those emails.
What about you, Sarah?
Oh, God. I'm going to apologize to anybody who might be involved in the marketing for this game system right now.
Story.
Oh, God. It's so I've always been one of those, like, weird people that's like, oh, yeah, I like Unsolved Mysteries and the A&E crime documentaries and cold case files and all that stuff. I don't remember which one it was, but one of them had an episode where there was a guy in Florida that took his little vampire troupe and murdered his girlfriend's parents and then fucked off to New Orleans. And I'm sorry that's a real murder. And I was watching that episode and I went, wait, there's a game where you can be a vampire? Fuck the murderer. Just, what? Like me, all of like 10 or 12, just being like, wait, there are other nerds that like this stuff and they get in costumes and play this game? What the fuck is this? But again, I immigrated to rural Indiana, so I had no access to this stuff. So it wasn't until high school, early college, where I found people that played the games. I've joined like one LARP, and I've played a few games in Old World, and I've played in Chronicles. And with our group, I was the one that got really excited for V5 and was like, I'm buying all the books and we're going to play this, goddammit. And we have been, and I think it's been a fairly good time so far.
Yeah.
Yay.
Thanks, Sarah.
Yay.
Just as an aside, I mean, we've all been playing games together since like 2010. Yeah, but I think the longest running games we've have always been World of Darkness games. We've played D&D together a couple times. We've played Shadowrun. We've done some Call of Cthulhu one-offs. We've done some systems I can't even remember the names of one-offs.
Probably for the best.
But I think our longest running game was my Hunter the Vigil game that we've played. We've taken breaks, but really it spanned like 5 years at this point, I think. This is
in-game, it's been like 4 weeks.
Yeah.
It's because we keep pausing, because the game's set in 1994, and one of us will make a pop culture reference, and the game comes to a screeching halt, because we all have to Google if that movie's been released yet.
Yeah, we are now...
It's a good time.
We are now, I think, like 3 days before Waco. So we also Google Waco far too often on our phones for the NSA to not be following us.
Oops.
It's already happening, guys. It's fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I just think that's interesting, though. And now with this game, we're going into our second year, I believe. Of playing it. We'd been playing for about maybe a year before the pandemic hit. So this is probably into our third year because we played some online.
Yeah, because ran the game a bit online, and then it's just, I'll be honest, I've been having health problems, and I was just like, no.
So James, how did you get into World of Darkness?
At least as my program tells me, I grew up in a very rural area, not in the same state y'all did, and I found the alpha nerds to introduce me to D&D at a very, very young age. And it was like, oh, something I could do that didn't make me feel like everyone was trying to kill me. Like they were trying to erase my code, stuff like that. And then progressed through the usual systems like most people do. I went through D&D and then moved up to Indiana, at least the coding says. And went to a few used bookstores and then found the Alpha Nerd up here. And they were like, hey, want to do this dark, edgy game?
Is that when they installed Windows 10 or?
No, this was the early 2000s.
Oh, XP.
No, worse. Yeah, and then I got to introduce myself into the lovely world of Vampire, and that was a fun, interesting time where it was like, oh, play a Nosferatu, and then the whole group sees you do a prank, and they're like, why didn't you play a Malkavian? And you make a Malkavian, and then Alpha Nerd fucks off. And then, as Hunter said, I also was a frequenter of the used bookstore where I requisitioned many, many books to be added to the knowledge pile. And here I am today with the lore hold in my head.
And I think this is probably true for most of us here. But Skipper had mentioned this to me when we were talking about this before we recorded. But World of Darkness, Vampire the Masquerade, and all its offsets were kind of one of my first introductions to subculture of any kind. As I got older, I started playing in bands, got involved in the music scene. We all ran a show house for a long time where bands would play in our disgusting basement.
Ugh.
We did have to throw away a couch because a crust punk band stayed the night, and one of the members slept on the couch, and there was just like a film on it we couldn't clean, so we just burnt the couch.
But yeah, so people ODing in our old house and grindcore bands vomiting on themselves mid-set. But
Ooh, that one dude that was completely naked and tied a Halloween skeleton to his dick.
oh yeah, and then he swung it at people.
Yeah.
I bought a shirt from them. I still have it.
Nice.
But I guess what we're saying is none of these enriching, heartwarming life experiences may have never come to us if we hadn't have gotten into Vampire. And
We should just start that over.
No, leave it in. It stays. We'll see how much of our gross punk lives ends up in this podcast. Probably a lot.
Probably a lot.
Yeah.
there's a really interesting documentary. I think it's just called Vampire the Masquerade. It's free online on that damned website by that company with the Jeff guy, who I won't give credence of saying their name, but we watched it for free. And I thought it was really interesting, the guy who did all the art for the original books, when they had to draw vampires, he just had all his friends who were in bands, in industrial and noise and metal and punk bands. He just have them dress like they did and draw them, and then he'd add teeth. And it's yep, they're a vampire now. And I think that kind of culture, even all the way up until when I started going to shows 2008, kind of rang true. And it still felt very authentic and real in a way that, to my life, no other role-playing game probably ever could.
I would definitely say, looking through the art and reading the old books when I didn't have anyone to play with, it definitely gave me a different viewpoint on, air quotes here, alternative culture and all those kinds of things. Because before that, I grew up again, northern Indiana, pretty conservative. It was those people were weirdos and freaks, and you can't trust them. They're all drug addicts. And then, reading the World of Darkness books, didn't help that much. Let's be real, but did give me another viewpoint. Other than that, tall, lanky, weird punk dude that was buying cookies in the grocery aisle. This was, again, probably one of my first experiences with weird alternative cultures.
Yeah,
Scenes.
I'll own that. It's if I wasn't doing punk music stuff and being involved in the scene, there's this, and then I have my kink stuff that I've done on and off, and then Vampire the Masquerade for my gothy stuff. Because it's it's gonna use the latex somewhere, I suppose.
Nice.
And it's also because I'm a huge history and philosophy nerd, so reading lore in the books, I just be oh, how amalgam is this to actual events, and then you can go read about other countries and cities and cultures to get the context for that. And then if I'm running the game, I'm oh, I can use this event and just plop that over here, and then just make everybody really uncomfortable.
All right, so that brings us to the end of our first episode here at Blankbodies. So, what do we have for the future of the show?
So in the immediate future, we're going to have, next episode, we're going to go over basic dice mechanics for V5 and the Hungy dice and what things have changed on the dice pools. And then third episode is going to be a crash course in the little starter modules. And just by the time we are done with the first 3 episodes, you should know enough to be able to just like, go! We're doing bat stuff!
Yeah, and then looks like episode 4 is probably going to be creating your own character, making your own vampire. The starter set that we're talking about in episode 3 does come with pre-mades, but I think the next step would be getting your players to create their own characters and go from there. And then episode 5, we're going to talk about player interview sheets and consent sheets. So what kind of story are they interested in telling? What kind of story beats do they enjoy? What kind of things do they not want in a story? What do they want to avoid? That kind of thing. Just help you all tell a better story as a group. And from there, we're going to kind of see what people are interested in. We've talked about doing episodes for specific clans, specific factions. We might do bits of lore from the old books. We might do the individual different settings, like changeling, werewolf, mage, that kind of thing. We also want to do some homebrew. Maybe take some, watch a movie, TV show, review it, and talk about what you can pull from that into your own game. And then we also would love to interview people who run LARPs around the country, play in LARPs, people who do stream games, anyone who's involved in the World of Darkness community in any sort of way. And if that's you or you want to let us know what you want to hear more about, feel free to email us at blankbodies@gmail.com. We also have an Instagram, blankbodiespod. And then we've got a Discord group as well, and the link to that is down below. We're going to probably end up running some polls down there, just be hanging out, playing video games, streaming movies.
You can watch me suck at video games.
Yeah, it's kind of fun, though.
Yeah.
I like watching you suck at video games.
Sick. Ooh, tell us if you're a vampire. We'd love to interview you.
Yeah, if you're a real-life vampire, we would love to interview you. Mm-hmm. And let's see. And then I just want to give a big thanks to Paralyze for the use of our theme song, Millions of Dead Cyborgs. We also had some other bands on the show today, Out in Public, Sonora, Home Invasion, and TV Drugs. And all their band camps are linked down below in the show notes as well. You should check them out. Go buy a song or two, help them out. And I think that just about does it for this week. See you again soon. Have a nice evening. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.